London say that Tottenham are expected to remain one of the busiest clubs in the market this month, with further arrivals and departures both on the agenda. And Ali Gold did say that there is no sign of Spurs' window slowing down. I mean, I hope not, because it's pretty slow in the last month.
I'd say, surely the signs are no signing for a month. That means, considering how busy we've been for the first 6 weeks of the window, I mean, we have quite literally slowed down. I mean, there's no debate about that, but whether things ramp up from now on remains to be seen. Obviously, I think De Zerbi has spoken about it. All the fans know exactly where the next targets are going to be, and that's going to be in the forward line. Everyone is desperate to get upgrades in that position, us included. It's obviously the most difficult position to get the quality that you want, because the prices are higher for those kind of positions, and the quality is, I feel like, more scarce. I feel like the top quality, a lot of it is already at top clubs, which is hard to get players out of. And then you're trying to kind of fight your way for the kind of little talent outside of those clubs, which the big clubs, other big clubs, are also looking at. So it is definitely the most difficult position to improve on and to get the quality that you want at. But Tottenham are clearly all over it. We're going for, I like the targets that we're linked with, but we just got to get these deals done. I mean, the deals that we're talking about have either been going on for a while, like Savinho, or there's Gakpo, which seems as though we'll get into, but there's a few stumbling blocks in that one. Or there's some like Osimhen, who just seems like a long shot. So let's just hope there are some bombers on the way, which everyone's going to be delighted with.
Yeah. So let's get into it. We're going to start off talking on Manor Solomon, a bit of information on him. Luca Bendoni from Damasio says that West Ham are exploring a potential permanent deal for Manor Solomon from Tottenham. Parties expect to know if the deal can progress within the next 48 to 72 hours. An ex-West Ham employee, obviously very reliable West Ham source, says that Manor Solomon is West Ham's top left winger target, with talks with Tottenham set to continue this week. Yeah, look, it's obvious that Manor Solomon's days have been numbered at Spurs for quite some time. We're always looking to push him out the club, but I'm looking at the situation at Spurs now, with injured players, with targets that we're supposedly bringing in and everything like that. I think we should keep him till at least January. I really do. Like, he's performed at pre-season, one of our best players at pre-season, and it's a position where we're really light on numbers. So unless we bring someone in, then I think we should keep him.
I'm open to keeping him in the short term as we assess the likes of Decky, his injury, where he's out. Obviously, Odebear's waiting for him to come back from an ACL. So hopefully he'll be an option come the second half of the season. So until that point, it might be worth keeping him around. However, it depends what our plans are. For me, in my mind, if we sign Gakpo and Savinho, I would want Savinho, Tell and Gakpo to be our left winger options, Kudus, Savinho to be our right winger options. Obviously, you've got Savinho who can play both wings as well. And then there's not really any room for Manor Solomon. But if the plan, for me, if the plan is to play Gakpo as a 9, which has been suggested, then all of a sudden I do think there's a hole there right wing, because apparently we want to play Decky as a backup right wing, and I'm just not sure about that at this point right now, because of his very serious knee injury. There are rumours that his pace has been affected by this long-term injury. Would that mean he's going to be much more suited, even more so than before, to a central role, which already seemed to be his best position? Yeah, I don't know if we should be trusting Decky right now as a right winger. Obviously, we don't know for sure. I'm just not sure about it.
Trust Decky at all in the 10 or right wing.
Yeah, but whatever, in the 10 we have other options. If he can just provide some sort of option there, when we already have Maddison, we already have Gallagher. So
it's not going to be for a while anyway.
We'll see. But I'm just saying, I wouldn't want to rely on him being our backup right winger to Kudus, who already himself has injury problems. So if that's the plan, I would keep Manor, because I think we need another option at right wing as to give Kudus some help. But if the plan is to play Gakpo on the wing, and you bring in Savinho, then I'm not sure there is a space for him.
The thing is, right, even if what you're saying is true, and that is the plan, Savinho and Kudus off the right, and Tell and Gakpo off the left, that's all well and good. but then one injury and we're starting to look light in those positions. So even in that case, I would still keep Manor around just so we can have cover on both sides, on the right wing and the left
So he's
wing.
what, third choice for both sides?
Yeah, but I still think he'll still see minutes.
I don't know if he would.
Look, with what we've been through over the past couple of years, we can't take anything to chance, and we got to, keep equipped for the worst situations.
I don't know if having two players in each position is leaving anything to chance.
Well, we've had two players in each position before, and we've still got mad injuries and not been able to fill those positions at certain times. So 5 wingers for 2 positions isn't exactly like madly overstocked. It's just nicely overstocked.
But if we get him money in for Manor, and he's going to want to go, I'm not going to force him to stay around to be our third choice in each position. Yeah,
100%. I'm not going to force him to stay around, and if he's desperate to go, let him go. But if he's open to staying under those circumstances, I would happily keep him, and I think he'll see minutes as well.
I don't think he would. Depends. Maybe he would if the plan is for Gakpo to play at the 9. Then maybe he would see some minutes. So and that seems to be the suggestion. So if we want to keep him around and he's happy to stay, then fine.
The reality is it's highly unlikely that we keep all 4 wingers fit all season. So if one of those wingers...
it's highly unlikely we keep Manor fit.
Yeah, that's another point. But I'm talking about these 4 wingers, once one gets injured, then Manor takes a step up to the backup option where he sees minutes off the bench.
Mm-hmm. I understand that, but I just don't think he's going to stay anyway. I think he's off. We'll get a bit of money for him, and that'll be that. I don't really mind it. I don't think it's a big deal. It is what it is. Like, if we have 4 good wingers, I think that's fine. Going into a season with no Europe, I think that should be manageable. And Odebear potentially coming back.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Keep him till January, until Odebear's back. Just as, backup cover that we're going to need. So, look, we'll see what happens. I'd like him to stay. If he's desperate to go, then let him go. It's not an issue. Next up, let's talk about Cody Romero, as there's been one update in terms of Cristian Romero saying Inter are expected to make the final decision soon on Cody Romero. No issues on agreement with Spurs on fee. Romero asks for the same salary he has at Tottenham. Inter to decide soon, as clubs are keen on the Argentinian. Exits could be the key. So I believe they're looking to sell Pavard, maybe it is. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
one of
Pavard.
their centre-backs. So
wrong one.
So maybe that could open the door for Romero, but we can't wait around for forever. Or they can't wait around forever if other clubs come in.
Sky Sports News are reporting that Atletico and Inter remain interested in Romero. There is an expectation he'll depart. Blah blah blah. As he's obviously he wants to leave. I think we all know he's off. It's just about where it is. Obviously, Inter Milan seem to be the ones that are really close to getting him over the line. It seems as though we're willing to do a deal at a very discounted rate due to the fact that we're just desperate to leave, get rid. He's desperate to go, and also there seems to be a lack of options of where he's going. But if Atletico Madrid do enter the deal late in the day, maybe we can get a bit more money from them. But obviously, Atletico are probably looking at the fee that Inter Milan have allegedly agreed, and they're probably going to want something similar. So I don't know how much more money we can get out of them. Maybe bump it up to like 45 or something. But I think they're going to want a similar fee to what Inter paid. So I don't think it's even about getting a much bigger fee anymore. It's just about maybe Atletico are going to be more willing to match Romero's wages than Inter Milan. Maybe they're more ready to go with Inter Milan looking to sell. So regardless, I hope Atletico enter the fray. But if he goes to Inter and it is 35 million, I'm just sick of talking about it at this point. So it is what it is. I've accepted the fact for a while that he's going to go for a fee that we or I think the club aren't really going to be delighted about, but it is what it is.
Yeah, 100%. So hopefully a deal. I think something will be agreed this week. I really believe that, and I think that will happen. I think a lot of players are gonna be exiting this week, but that's the Romero situation, because I think he's due to come back in a week's time or at the end of this week. So I don't know if he comes back into training. I think a deal will get done before he's due back. So we'll see what happens. Next up, let's talk about Mikey Moore. because there's been some major developments on Mikey Moore. And Fabrizio Romano says FC Cologne have sent an official bid to sign Mikey Moore on loan. Negotiations at an advanced stage with Tottenham, as the deal could be completed next week, with Moore open to the move. So he said that yesterday, so next week is obviously this week. Several clubs keen, but Cologne are clear favourites. Ali Gold said that plenty of clubs are interested in Moore, from home and abroad, including newly promoted Premier League sides and Championship clubs. Rangers were interested again, but Spurs are understood to be leaning towards a new experience for him out on loan. Bundesliga outfit FC Cologne are understood to be the young Spurs attacker's preferred club if he goes abroad, and they've had a long-standing interest in him. Nothing agreed yet, but they want the 18-year-old. Advanced talks with Cologne and awaiting both the 18-year-old and Tottenham to give the green light. Will be interesting to see if any of the English clubs make a late push. It'll be interesting. Yeah, I mean, would you prefer him to go to Cologne, or would you prefer him to stay in the Premier League and go to one of like the kind of promoted sides?
Definitely Premier League, because I think that's where you're going to get the best experience if he's playing week in, week out, getting up to speed in the league, where hopefully that's where his future lies. But if he goes to Cologne and gets to platform his attacking ability, gets to gain that confidence of being at home at a top 5 league and being able to show the fact that he's ready for that kind of level, then I'm all for that as well. In terms of Cologne, though, I'm mixed on that one. Specifically, I think apparently they do play like attacking football. I've read they play like a bit of a 4-4-2 kind of formation. But the one thing I'm worried about is they do have Elmala. Obviously, he might leave, but right now he's still there, and he kind of plays in Mikey Moore's position. So I'm worried he might keep him out of the team. Either he'll keep him out of the team, or he'll force Mikey Moore into a position that he's not so comfortable in.
Do they play a 4-4-2?
That's what I've read.
I thought they played with a 10. Did they not play with a 10?
I think they used to, I read, and then a new manager came in and apparently they play 4. That's what I read. They play 4-4-2.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think the expectation is Elmala's going to leave this summer, and I think Mikey Moore's probably coming in to be his replacement.
Yeah. So if that's the case, then fine. I'm just worried that doesn't happen, and then he's competing for his best position with a player who right now might be ahead of him. So slightly worried about that. But if it turns out he's going to be playing week out in a top 5 league like Köln, I think that'll be a really good move for him, and I think he'll be able to just show off his talents. And yeah, I think he'll be able to kind of hopefully grow on what was a really good season last season and make that step up.
Yeah, and there are so many examples, aren't there, of young English talent going over to the Bundesliga as a boy, coming back a man, and really getting consistent football, and their technical ability just goes up leaps and bounds. Such a technical league, open league, where I think Mikey can really flourish. I really do. In terms of some potential incomings, let's talk about Cody Gakpo, as there's been a couple of updates on him, some good, some bad. Fabrizio Romano says that Tottenham had contacts with Gakpo's agency and believe he could be the right addition for Roberto De Zerbi. It depends on the price. Liverpool are not pushing Gakpo out. The only way to open the door is a good proposal. Tottenham plan to step up their efforts to try sign Gakpo, as talks will enter the key stages soon. Gakpo option in addition to Savinho, who remains another top target. Deal depends on Liverpool's intentions and price, as Gakpo is not on the exit list. Sky Sports' Lyle Thomas says that Liverpool would not be willing to let Tottenham target Gakpo leave without having a replacement signed. In any case, with 4 years left in his deal, the forward would not come cheaply. Alex Crook says it's his understanding that Liverpool do not plan to sell Cody Gakpo, even if they do recruit Bradley Barcola. And Simon Jones says that Liverpool have made it abundantly clear that they have no plans to sell Cody Gakpo this summer. I've read suggestions of crazy fees being put about for Cody Gakpo. Like the lowest one I've seen is like 70 million, even going up to like 80, 90 million, which is nuts for Cody Gakpo, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't think we would sign him if he's going up to 90 million. But in terms of Liverpool's stance, this has kind of been what I think has always been the case for them, and that's that they aren't going to sell him until they get 1 or 2, or 2 probably through the door, and one of them being Bradley Barcola, which is not going to be an easy deal to do. So they're so thin on the ground in the forward line. I just would be very surprised if they're willing to let go someone like Cody Gakpo, who's quite a reliable member of their attack, while their attack is so thin. So as much as he's one of our targets and we think he would be interested in coming if we can agree a deal, I can't see Liverpool sanctioning it just yet. And I don't think I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know if he's that unhappy that he's going to force through a move to a club like Tottenham when maybe he'd back himself to, be part of Iraola's attack next season. So that's obviously a massive issue for me when it comes to this deal. I really like Gakpo. There's been a lot of discourse about Gakpo for the last 48 hours. A lot of people saying he's average. Why are we going for him? Or, he's a really underwhelming signing. Some others, a bit more positive. Looking at his numbers, looking at when he plays, he does score goals. He's big, he's strong, he's quick, he has qualities. As much as he's flawed, he does have, pretty consistently good kind of goal output or goal contribution output in the Premier League, and that's not easy to come by. So I think I understand both sides of the argument. I think if we can agree a deal for if Liverpool are willing to let him go, I think he'd definitely improve our attack, and I think he'll definitely add that little bit more quality, and I think and someone who's could be a source of goals from the wing, which we are struggling with at the moment. But it might be one that has to rumble on. I can't see this being an imminent one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at their options, Liverpool. It's not as frail as that's assuming they do bring in Barcola, if they do, because then on the left wing they've got Barcola. They've got Munoz, who they've just signed. They've got Rio, who's obviously up and coming there. So that's three options on the left-hand side. The right-hand side is where they're really weak.
I think Munoz plays on the right, doesn't he?
Is he not a left winger? Even if he's all right, it's still another option up top. I think he can maybe play both. But where does he play? I thought he was a left winger. Is he a right winger?
I think he's a right winger. I'm not 100% sure. I think I was looking at a Liverpool fan who put his squad
it says
together.
On Transfermarkt he's a left winger.
Okay.
So they've signed a left winger. They're looking to sign another left winger. Surely that brings to light Gakpo leaving. Like, would they not let him go if they bring in two left wingers?
I don't know, because Munoz is young, Rio's a teenager. So I don't know if unless they're
he's
signing.
23 years of age. It's not like he's a kid.
I know, but where was he last season?
Somewhere in the Spanish league.
Yeah, I don't know if are they going to rely on him over Gakpo? Who knows? Maybe they will, but I think they are still pretty thin. And still, but my point being, I don't think it's imminent. Barcola might take a while to get that deal over the line, so I don't think they let him Gakpo go before they get that one in, and that could take a while. So.
In my opinion, I think they will let him go. I just think this is a negotiation tactic from Liverpool, saying, I think they want top dollar for him. I really do. And I don't think we should play top dollar for him. I like Gakpo. I want to bring him in. But to pay 80 million for him, or north of 80 million for him, I think is crazy talk. We paid that money for Fernandes. We paid that money for Tonali. And I always said on those deals, it shouldn't matter about the money because we're bringing in top talent that we can have for years. If we bring in Cody Gakpo for 80 million, there's a very high chance in 2 years' time we could be looking to upgrade on him or move on to him if other big attackers come on the market. So I don't think it's the same as Mateus Fernandes and Sandro Tonali, where we should just throw the book at it and bring him in at all costs. I think he can have a major impact for us next season and potentially the season after. But he's a player that's firmly upgradable when you look at him. So I don't think that Spurs should probably going more than 65 million for him. I think that's where he's at.
I think 70 for me would be kind of what I'd be pretty comfortable with that one. Anything above that, I think it's pretty wild. We're looking at the figures. But then again, as I've been saying about Gakpo, if you're looking for a 9, then I think it's a bit different. I think there are definitely maybe options out there which you could pay top dollar, and maybe, for example, like an Osimhen, and maybe you can convince him to come. But when you're talking about a left winger who gets goal contributions, I don't know how many in the Premier League that are gettable for Tottenham would you say we could bring in who gets more goal contributions than Gakpo? I can't think of too many.
There aren't any more, I don't think. I think Gakpo, in terms of Premier League proven, is probably top of the list in that sense. But maybe it's time to maybe look outside the Premier League as well. Like, we don't have to do all our shopping in the Premier League.
I understand that, but that's the remit of club. Clearly, at the moment, we see. I for one would like us to look outside the Premier League, but it seems as though right now, where we're at, because of what happened the last 2 seasons, we just want to make sure we've got players coming in who we know can play in this division and minimise as much risk as possible. And so Gakpo might represent that. And then so if he's the best option of your kind of strategy, then you got to get him in. I think you got to pay what needs to be paid to get him in.
Well, they could be charging 80 million, 85 million for him. So
But it depends. If you're looking for a 9, then I'm happy to move on. I don't know. I wouldn't sign him to play the 9. That has been suggested. Paul O'Keefe said we're signing him because he can play 9. It was a bit ambiguous. He says it because he can play 9, not because he will play 9. But I assume it's that's part of the reason.
has said that we don't rate him in the 9.
We don't rate him in the 9 now. Well, no, Paul O'Keefe says we want him because he can play 9, but
I think because he can play 9.
So, so if he's coming in to play left wing, then and the idea is to also sign a number 9 on top of that, then I'm happy to go quite big on him because I think.
Big?
Yeah, I'm happy. Whatever they want, if Spurs want to get him in, just pay whatever Spurs are comfortable with. I don't know. I would say I wouldn't pay more than 70. But if they're saying we won't let him go for any less than 80, whatever, pay the money is what it is. Like if we're talking about left winger, who are people talking about when they're saying Gakpo's not good enough? So who is good enough? Who are we talking about?
I don't think people are saying. Well, I'm not saying that Gakpo's not good enough. What I'm saying is that if you pay really big money for Gakpo, in a year's time, another winger could come along that is a lot better than Gakpo and much more suited to us.
Okay, you've got 80 million, right? Who are you signing for the left winger?
I've got 80 million. Who am I signing for the left winger? I really don't know. I don't think that we should. It's a hard one. It's a really hard one because the market is dry. The market is really dry. I think in terms of Premier League proven, Gakpo is the best option available. He is. We've got to look at other options outside the Premier League that we could potentially get. But in terms of Premier League proven talent, Gakpo is the best one.
If I'm looking at transfer, like if I go to transfer market and just look at left wingers, one sec.
Maybe Rashford.
Yeah, Rashford, but obviously you can get him for cheaper. Is he guaranteed to get more goal contributions than Gakpo? Maybe. I mean, I think you can definitely make a case. But let's see, position, left winger. Who are like the top left wingers in the world at the moment? Obviously, oh, this is stupid. I've gone into the wrong one. I need market values. That's what I need. Most valuable. One sec. Okay. So you're going on left wingers on transfer marks. Most valuable. Not going to get Vinny, not going to get Kafisha, not going to get Barcola, Gordon, Doku. Yildiz maybe. You could say go big for Yildiz. Maybe you can convince him to leave Juve. That's one option. Rafinha, Diaz, and then Gakpo's the 9th most expensive in the whole of the world. So if we're saying I don't want to spend big on him, then who are we going to spend big on?
We should have
Nico Williams,
Lookman. For Lookman when we had the chance.
You think Lookman's better than Gakpo?
I think it's hard because Lookman obviously hasn't proven himself in the Premier League, but he's proven to himself to get consistent goal contributions.
But is he better than Gakpo? When you watch him play, do you think he's better than Gakpo?
I think they offer different things. I mean, Lookman's obviously a bit more direct. Maybe Gakpo is a bit better, but Lookman you wouldn't have to have spent like crazy money on, and if you upgrade him and look to sell him, it would be a much easier thing to do.
I think I would much rather rely on Gakpo than Lookman. I think Gakpo's much more reliable for me and much lesser risk, and I think it has played on the big stage, World Cups and stuff. He's been starting for a team that's won the league. You know, he was playing very regularly for Liverpool when they won the league.
I like Gakpo. I mean,
but I know, but my point is that all these people, I'm not saying you necessarily, I'm just saying people complaining about spending a big chunk of money on him, and I'm looking at these options here, like who are we comfortable spending a big amount of money on? Okay, Yildiz, fair enough. I'll go big for Yildiz if we can get him. But I'm saying if that's not possible, then who are we saying?
I don't know who we're saying. I really don't know, because I think the market is very dry. But someone could easily come to light in the next year or so. So I'm not saying I don't want to bring in Gakpo. I actually do want to bring in Gakpo. I think he's a really good player. But I think going over the top for him, for a player that we could potentially looking to move on in 2 years' time, I think is a bit crazy talk.
Or maybe De Zerbi can get even more out of him than
I hope
what
so,
we've seen.
yeah. You'd probably hope that, obviously. I don't know.
Yeah, in 2 years' time, you cross that bridge when you come to. We're talking about just right now. You can only deal with the market we have. And I understand. I think your point's valid. Like in a couple of years, when we look at that front line, and let's say we're in Champions League football and we want to really go for it, like the league, there might be the case where we're like, okay, where can we improve? What players can we upgrade on? Gakpo might be that one, and he might just be demoted to a squad player.
I think we're going to get him. So once we do, this whole conversation will be, a moot point. But, if I told you at the beginning of the summer we're going to be spending 90 million or 85 million on Gakpo, you would have called me crazy.
Mm-hmm. And I would have said the same for Fernandes. I would have said the same for Tonali. But here we are.
I know, but at the beginning of the window as well, I remember speaking about Gakpo, and I don't think you were that interested in Gakpo.
I think that obviously that he has his issues. I'm not saying he doesn't. He can be a frustrating player, he can be a predictable player, but he also provides in the final third. He just does consistently.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah. So I've always liked him as a player. I think he needs, obviously at 27, it's unlikely he's going to improve a massive lot. But then again, De Zerbi's a very, very good manager, and if he really wants him, I think he's got he probably has a plan for him and how he can use him. And if he can just up his efficiency by 10 to 15%, you've got a very, very good player on your hand. So, I've always thought Gakpo would be a good signing for us.
All right, well, let's see how it progresses. I do think this will happen at some point, and I believe that all of this is just a negotiating tactic from Liverpool. I don't believe that they won't sanction Rue for him, or with that he's not for sale. He's most definitely for sale, particularly if they bring in Bradley Barcola, 100%, because they've got more than enough players for the left wing. Maybe they need to bring in another one in the 9, fine, because Ekitike's injury, they got Isaac there. So if they bring in Bradley Barcola, there's, all he is a backup option there, and I think he'll get very frustrated.
Yeah, we'll see. I think right now, I'm just looking at Liverpool's options. I'm like, I don't think they should be losing Gakpo right now, but let's see.
And also, he's just not an Iraola player as well. So I think Iraola will be happy to move him on, because I just don't think he's the style that Iraola's going for on the wings.
Yeah. Well, let's see. Look, it makes sense. They're saying they need to find a replacement, so something just tells me it's not imminent. But let's hope this is one we can get over the line.
And also, Liverpool fans, they want rid of him. A lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them don't want him at the club anymore.
I know, but recency bias can easily skew that. Like, how many you have one bad season or one season where he's frustrating, which he was last season. He was frustrating, but then you also look at Liverpool; they had their own problems. It wasn't just him, and like a lot of players were underperforming last season. And also, he bears the brunt. Maybe he was a bit of a scapegoat. But we've seen it with our fans. Like, for example, Trippier. Everyone was desperate to get rid of Trippier because he was had a bad season. It was like, get rid, he's rubbish, blah blah blah. He leaves. All of a sudden it comes out he had an injury or whatever, and all of a sudden he's winning leagues at Atletico, and then he's starting for England at the World Cup and all this kind of stuff, and he becomes a top right back. So you can't always trust fans, but I get it. It's true. Liverpool fans really aren't a fan of him right now.
Yeah. And last but not least, there's been a report from French media for Andreas Schjelderup. I don't think it's a great source, to be honest. They are claiming that Tottenham have offered 45 million plus 10 million in bonuses for him, and Benfica want 50 million plus 5 million in bonuses. I liked him at the World Cup. I thought he looked really good against Brazil, who was fantastic when he came off the bench. I think he did, and then he obviously got the start against England and scored that goal, which he obviously meant 100%. But I mean, yeah, when you compare him to like a Gakpo, obviously it's a no-brainer in favour of Gakpo.
I think he would probably be an alternative to Savinho, I would assume, because I think he's that kind of winger, isn't he? So that's what I'd assume if we're actually interested in him. The Savinho stuff is starting to worry me. He played a significant part of their friendly against Inter Milan, played really well. These individual highlights have been doing the rounds, and I was just watching it thinking like, oh, are they actually just going to let him come to us? Like, this guy is a serious talent. Like, I think
This is no different to Bergvall playing significant minutes for us.
I know, but that's also gone quiet. But obviously he could still leave. But this one's been in the pipeline for such a long time, and what is the hold up exactly? It's quite peculiar, the whole situation. I'm starting to get a bit worried about it. I'm starting to think that maybe it's not going to happen. I hope I'm wrong, but there's just something, in the air at the moment that seems to be holding it back. And if it's not resolved by this point, when it is going to be resolved, that's what I'm worrying about. But I think this kid, Schjelderup, I think he would probably be an alternative to Savinho, I'd assume.
He does have immense talent, but I think in the path that we're going for, I just don't think he fits it 100%. I think he still needs a couple of years or a year at least of development before we start to look at him. So I don't really think Spurs are going to go in for him, albeit I do rate him as a big talent. And I do think Savinho will get done eventually. God knows what the hold-up is, but I think it will get done at some point. Here we go today, hopefully.
I've been saying here we go today for the last 3 months.
But that is your Tottenham update for today. Let me know in the comment section below your thoughts regarding all the news stories that we have brought you today.